to end it. Yes, who's singing? Okay. Please, yes. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Shri Guru Charana
and hear from our gurus, the more we know what we're singing in the sense of who is Mahaprabhu to begin with. Mahaprabhu Nityananda, Advaita Acharya, Radha Pandit, Srivas Thakur, Srinivas Acharya, Ramachandra, Haviraj, and the different personalities. But the translation is, Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, kindly give your grace to me. In the whole creation there is none as merciful as you. You descended just to save the fallen souls. O Lord, a soul as fallen as me is nowhere to be found. O Lord Nityananda, ever in the joy of your love, kindly give me your gracious glance. I am very sad. Ami boro dukhi. Ami boro dukhi. I am very sad. Oh dear. Kindly give your grace, Sri Advaita Gosai, the Lord of Srimati Sita Thakurani. By the power of your grace, we may gain the service of Sri Sri Nitai Chaitanya, the embodiment of Sri Gaura's love, Pandit Gadadhar, Srivas Pandit, Haridas Thakur. So to each of them, you are the ocean of grace personified. O my Lord, Sri Svarup Damodar, Sri Sanatan, Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath Bhatta and Sri Gopal Bhatta. O my Lord, Sri Lokanath Goswami, please grant your blessings, O Lord Sri Srinivasa Charja, for the company of Sri Ramachandra Chakravarti, Narottam Das does pray. Then kindly give your grace, Srila Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur, manifestation of Sri Gaura. This fallen servant begs the mercy of your associates. Very beautiful verse for us to sing. So this evening we can sing from the Shikshastakam, the 8 prayers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his final pastimes, when he was in constant Krishna prema, he gave these 8 verses. Himself he composed and gave these 8 verses as a full summary of his teaching. And while he was in great ecstasy, he wasn't like a sober, you know what I mean by sober, means he sat down to make a thesis, but it was the natural flow from his heart. This, from beginning to end, is our Krishna consciousness guidance. And I don't know the page number, or
200.
It's not in the index, I know, under Chaito Dhapram. It's under
Pita
Varana. So you can say the page number in your book, it's a different version.
200.
Ours is, mine only, I'm the odd man now. 216 in mine, and yours?
200.
200, we're close. 200. And so we can say the Sanskrit together of each verse, and then, as in the mat, because we try to follow the mat as much as possible. As in the mat, we'll sing the Pita Varana, we'll sing the Bengali for each of the verses. The first, in the cases of number 7 and 8, the first one of each of them. Okay? So slowly together.
Cheto darpanamajanam
bhavavadavadni Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Nityavadujivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Punamrita Swadanam Savatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. And as always, please don't just make sound into the ether, into the air, as Gurudev said. Kirtan is not just to make sound into the ether. It is to make our heart's prayer into the ether according to what we are singing. So, for those of you with 4 eyes, it's very easy. Two eyes on one text, 2 eyes on the other. For those of us with only 2 eyes, we have to put 1 eye on the singing, 1 eye on the translation. Pita, you can say, please.
Pita Varana Kali Pavana Gora.
Pita Varana Kali Pavana Gora.
Bhajaya Ichana Bhava
So verse number 2 of Sri Shikshastakam, Nam Namakari, slowly together. Nam Namakari Bahura Nija Sava Shaktis Tatrapika Niyamita Smarane Nakala Ekadishi Tavatipa Bhagavan Mamati Durgaivam Hitrisham Yahardani Nanuranga Daya Sadara Tarayite Pani Daya Sadara Tarayite Pani Namane Katua prayers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just 8 prayers of Mahaprabhu. So completed number 2, and now number 3, a verse we recited yesterday, and we can read this verse of page, the next page, verse 3, I think we're in the right place.
204.
And that short verse at the top of the page, we'll read this together. It's Sanskrit, it's the 3rd verse from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's 8 prayers, Shastra prayers. And then we'll sing the Bengali, and I think we're going to have Shara Shiramani sing. You do know that we'll help you with the first one. Okay, but first of all, the Sanskrit, slowly together. Trinadapi sunichena tarodiva sahishnuna amanina manarena kirtanya satahari. We've done this in Italy before. If you see the first line, Shri Kṛṣṇa Caitanya Jati Manasato Hara. And the second line, Paramajatanita Iloho Harita. You do your best, yes.
Sorry, just... Is that okay? Yeah.
Shri Kṛṣṇa Caitanya Jati Manasato Hara.
Shri Kṛṣṇa Caitanya Jati Manasato Hara. Good. So the verse was, one who is humbler than a blade of grass, more forbearing than a tree, who gives honor to others without desiring it for himself, is qualified to always chant the holy name of Kṛṣṇa. This was the hot verse we were saying about yesterday. Humility, honoring others, and tolerance. Hot. Okay, and then the translation of the Bengali, which is sort of an illumination of that verse. Would you like to read loudly in English the translation?
Yeah, sure. If your mind is always carefully observed in the chanting of the holy name, then you will become qualified for chanting the holy name of Kṛṣṇa.
Yes, all.
Humbler than a blade of grass, considering yourself low, poor, and mean. Give up your false ego. Tolerant as a tree, you should forgive the forbear. Giving up violence, practice nurturing and protecting others. Live without causing anxiety to others. Do good unto others without considering your own happiness. A great soul who has all these qualities should not become proud of his saintly qualities, but giving up position and prestige, he should always remain prideless within his heart. Always knowing that Kṛṣṇa dwells within the heart of all living beings, you should always properly respect and honor others. Humility, mercy, consideration of others, and giving up position are the 4 qualities needed to perform kirtan. Bhaktivinoda, crying at the Lord's holy feet, says, "O my Lord, when will you bestow upon me the qualifications for Kṛṣṇa Kirtan?"
Jain. And this formula, this Śrīla Gurudev says, is the formula for success in chanting Hare Krishna. Formula for success. Jai. Okay, one more anyway, and that is verse, of course, after 3 comes 4. Verse 4, na dhanam na janam. We say it slowly together. Na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye mama janmani janmanishvare bhavatar bhakti rahaituki tvai. And then Prabhu tava padaduge. Do you know this one, Hare Krishna Prabhu?
No. But maybe if you want to sing the first line.
Prabhu tava padaduge morani vedana. And the second line, nahi magide ho sukha vidyatana jana.
Prabhu tava pada juge.
Prabhu tava padaduge morani Silence in the room. Okay, let us read this translation and then we'll chant Hare Krishna. So the verse was, O Lord, I have no desires to accumulate wealth, followers, beautiful women, or for the ladies, beautiful men, or salvation. My only prayer is for your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. And then Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur expands this by saying, O Lord, this is my humble submission at your lotus feet. I do not ask from you sensual pleasure, learning, wealth, or followers. I do not beg for residence on the celestial planets, nor do I wish liberation from this mundane existence. Nor do I pray for the attainment of any mystic powers. Whatever birth I may obtain due to the results of my previous worldly activities, I pray that I may sing the glories of your holy name, birth after birth, in anybody that I might get. This alone is my cherished hope, matra asha. This only is my wish. That my aspiration, my prayer at your lotus feet is, let causeless and uninterrupted devotion awaken within my heart and flow towards you. Let me love your lotus feet as much as I now love sense gratification. Transfer my affection from the objects of the senses to your lotus feet. In danger or success, good fortune or disaster, let me remain equipoised, and let my affection for you increase day by day by the influence of the holy name. Whether I live as a bird or a beast, in heaven or in hell, let the humble Bhaktivinoda always cherish devotion to you in his heart of hearts. These are such beautiful prayers. We don't want any, we are not to pray for worldly things. Many people can give worldly things, but Mahaprabhu, Krishna, they can give Krishna prema. They can give us our eternal joyful life. So whether I'm a bird, whether I live as a bird or a beast. Today we went to Windsor Park and we saw the green parrot birds, we saw the eagles, and we saw the beasts, means we saw the deer. We saw the deer, all the men deer in one place, all the lady deer in another place. Just see, they are following some dharma, deer dharma, following deer dharma. All right, then we better chant Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Garadha, Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So yesterday your mother sang. You delegated your mother to sing yesterday. Today you should sing. This is our request. Just this Shri Krishna Chaitanya and Hare Krishna like 4 times, 5 times, a little bit, and then Nitai Gaura Hari.
Shri Krishna Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti
Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale of 5 and half of 2. Okay, very good. Good. All is good. And I know you're accustomed in different temples to chant different tunes. And in Srila Prabhupada's temples, they generally chant the whole Maha Mantra all at once to make it. And I was thinking that you might, which is also fine, we can follow that. But sometimes devotees ask us, why do you chant Hari-kīrtana, Hari-kīrtana, and pause, and then reply, and then the second and reply. But you've been to India, and you've seen what happens in India, right? And the only temples that chant fully are actually Srila Prabhupada's temples. So it's the other way around. All the temples are chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, and then following that, and then Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and then following that. But Srila Prabhupada, for his own reason, then, as applicable, then he encouraged the devotees to chant the whole Maha Mantra, and it's probably to get the whole Maha Mantra out there into the Western world, which didn't know anything, starting with completely clean slate. But when we go to India, all the temples, they do half and half this way. But it's all good. We're happy. Thank you very much. Krishna is, what happened to Mahaprabhu? Mahaprabhu is always smiling, so we know he's smiling behind the curtain too. Okay, now we're even happier. We've got Tridandi Maharaj with us. Maharaj, Dandavat to you.
It's only a bit more time, so
okay. We heard a rumor you were here. And now the rumor has become a reality. Jai Shriman Mahaprabhu, Gauranga Sundar ki Jai, Shri Giriraj, Shri Radha Giridhari Ju. This is all arranged for you, Maharaj, so don't disappoint us. Please sit in the chair. It's all arranged for you.
Oh, yes. You're not serious, are you? I mean, that was...
What?
How did you know I was coming? You didn't. That was joking.
Well, no, I knew you were coming. Because the doorbell rang before, and I thought it was the family coming, and they said, no, it's Tridandi Maharaj.
I'll just say it for now, so I've got to build up all these things, it's a whole thing, so I'll just say hello, it's fine.
But you're here.
Hare Krishna.
But you're here, and just at the right time.
It's not the bhajan evening, is it? It's not this.
Every evening's bhajan.
Yes, I know, but not the one.
Well, I just learned this evening that it's every 2 weeks.
2 weeks, right.
But we've been doing bhajan till just now. We just finished chanting Hare Krishna.
All these people.
And so it's a time for a chat by a sannyasi. So I think it's very, what's the word?
Appropriate?
Fitting.
Applicable, appropriate, there's another word, like fortune or something.
Fortuitous.
Fortuitous, thank you, Maharaj. I think it's very fortuitous that you have arrived at this moment. And looking bright, and we should take advantage, spiritually speaking, not by exploitation, but by humbly coming with some petition to you to share some Kṛṣṇa Katha with us. We've had Hari-kīrtana, we have the promise of Hari-prasad, we've had the worship, all these things, but now it's a little time for Hari-katha. So we're coming to
I noticed you were saying about the Maha Mantra, and you did the Pranam Mantra of Prabhupada, is that?
Pranam Mantra?
Yeah.
No, I was saying...
Singing that.
No, I was saying because within, you know that within ISKCON they do sing the whole Maha Mantra.
Right.
But we are doing half and half, and so I just mentioned that the question does come to us, why do we chant half and half?
Yeah.
But then I said, actually the question is that all the temples chant half and half, except Srila Prabhupada's temples.
Right.
And so Srila Prabhupada, actually, so the question is, we wonder why Srila Prabhupada, because he knows all the standard, everything, but he gave the whole Maha Mantra. And I was just speculating, because we don't have Srila Prabhupada here to knock on the door and say, Srila Prabhupada, actually why like that? But we can think that he did it so that he will introduce like the whole Maha Mantra
Yeah.
to the Western world that had no familiarity with Kirtan or anything.
Right, I think so, yeah, just to get, so they're saying the whole mantra all together and getting used to it. Like
Yes.
that, yeah.
And also, there is somewhere in the scripture, maybe Maharaj knows the quote, he knows lots of quotations, very brainy, got a good memory. But Maharaj knows lots of quotations, maybe, oh look who's here. How do you slip in, Devananda? He went back to Bournemouth and now look, he just manifested in the... Have you got one of these mystic powers that they have for the Kumbh Mela? They say that some of those sadhus in Kumbh Mela, in the Himalayas, they chant some mantras, setting the GPS for the destination, and then they go into the river, under the water, and then still, I suppose, with some kind of mantra, they come out of the water in Prayag, is what they say. So I'm getting a little, not suspicious, but what another word, not suspicious means like...
Convinced.
I'm convinced, okay, I'm getting a little convinced that Devananda has those teachings coming from Bournemouth to here. Anyhow, Maharaj, there is somewhere in the scripture, which we have read, because it's in Śrīla Prabhupada's book somewhere, that's what we read, that the Maha Mantra is given in the Purana, ancient scripture, as this Hare Rama first,
Yes.
and Hare Kṛṣṇa second. But there is an injunction with that mantra that is to be chanted by Brahmins, those who are not by Brahmin, by birth, Brahminical in quality, Brahminical quality. And so Mahaprabhu, the mantra is there for Kali Yuga, but he didn't break any of the Purana injunctions, but he gave Hare Kṛṣṇa first and Hare Rama second.
Yeah.
So that giving the same mantra, but giving it without breaking the rules and regulations for the distribution, for the deliverance of the fallen souls. That you don't have to be a Brahmana to chant that. This is for all people to chant.
And in the front they would say Om, they have to have the Omkar, and then Hare Rama, then Hare Krishna. So he took out the Om, so it's no longer a Vedic mantra, so that's open to anyone, everyone.
Okay, this wasn't in my remembrance, or maybe it wasn't in my knowledge to forget before, but the other part, I remembered. Yes, Maharaj. So tell us something about the Maha Mantra. And if you, maybe, just simple request, maybe you can make us all Krishna conscious this evening.
Well, I'll try. Yes, no, I'm just joining you for a few minutes because
That's all it takes.
doing some things.
We're told it only takes a moment, actually, Maharaj. It's a long time.
Well, as you say, bathing in the Ganga purifies one of all sins and so on, but it takes some time, long time. But in the translation, the Tulasi poet says, actually in the English they put even seeing you or even by touching you, but really it should be even by touching you. Seeing you, or even by, it should be the first, even by touching you, or even by seeing you, the same effect is achieved. So yeah, similarly with Sadhu Sangha, it's like that, it's supposed to be like that. But first of all, it has to be, okay then who is a sadhu, what is a sadhu? That's a big other question, isn't it? Because the word can just be thrown around in general, but generally somebody who's at least trying externally full-time engaged in the spiritual life, sadhu coming from sat, interested in sat, eternity, not the temporary things so much. So but that's a general term. Say something.
Well, the question does come up. How do we remember Krishna always? So give us your...
Yeah, well, that's just constant remembrance is by practice, you know, that's the thing. But there has to be, of course, some time in the day, set time for actually the meditation, chanting the Maha Mantra, you know, because they have this thing, particularly in Christianity, they say, oh, I don't need to sit down and pray, you know, my work is my prayer. I'm working, but that's just a cop-out, really. Yes, that's true, but if you don't have that set time for some concentrated chanting of the holy name and spiritual practice, then that is going to quite quickly become to be karma and not bhakti, you know, your work, you know? It's not going to be infused with the consciousness of service, which is... I like one thing that Śrīla Maharaj said in that book, Revealed Truth, and probably some devotees here were there when he actually said it, spoke about sort of turning it around the other way. We're doing things to try to please or serve or satisfy Guru and Krishna, but he was saying, oh, I sleep, you know, because Krishna likes me to sleep. I put on tilak because Krishna likes me to do that. I take prasad because Krishna likes me to do that, you know. That's from the sort of super subjective side of things, you know. So it's to say that we are existing within the consciousness of the Lord, not I'm over here, way out on the periphery somewhere, and I'm trying to cram consciousness of Krishna into my brain or into my heart or something. But just to be gently conscious, everything I'm doing is within the, not within the consciousness of the Lord, as in the sense of, oh, he's busy looking at me in exclusion to anything else, but that, as in that mantra, the Vedic mantra, you know, Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada. So just as the sun in the sky sees everything, so the all-seeing eye of the Lord is there. So everything we do, are, feel, want, believe, etc., to be aware that that's existing within his seeing, his knowledge, his understanding. So, like similarly with the, you know, when we have a darshan, we're thinking, oh, I'm here, and this is, yeah, I believe theoretically this is the Lord. So I'm trying to get that more and more. How is that a reality? But just to be gently aware that the Lord is seeing me, you know, not I'm seeing with my small eye how much we can see. But the Lord can see us, you know. So it puts, I think it puts, you know, spiritual life in a slightly different perspective. Yes, we make effort, of course, towards it, but with that in the background, with that understanding in the background, otherwise it's pushing, as if something, by more pushing, we can get more of the thing. It's not really like that, you know. The thing's already there, and we just be more aware of it. So
Maharaj, how can we deepen our practice?
Well, like Guru said, the quality, you know, is the thing, not so much the quantity. But then some quantity must be there, because if you say, well, then you say, well, I just chant Hare Krishna once with a really deep quality attention and bus finished, and then go and do something else. But no, obviously, common sense will tell you there must be some quantity. So whether you say 16 rounds, 4 rounds, whatever is your standard that you've been given or that you've promised, or try to keep up to that and maintain that. But I think after some time, devotees, you know, because it's always said minimum of 4 rounds and more as much as possible, with the kind of the 16 rounds being there as some kind of level to kind of have as a kind of a standard, but again, not limited to that either, but I think devotees will find their level, you know, and whether it's 8 rounds, 10 rounds, or whatever they're doing, and, you know, gradually to try and increase, of course, So if one has an opportunity, like for example on any particular day or time, one's between services, there's no specific service one's doing at that time, then try to use that for chanting, you know. Like, for example, I'm driving long distance sometimes, so that's good. I know it's not recommended, you know, with the mala and so on while driving, of course, but that can be done also internally, you know, or in some way, you know, keeping track. I know in ISKCON they have the clicker, don't they? And I saw we tried to use the mala, of course, you know, Tulsi mala or mala. One time the devotee said, well, if we have some bees but they're not Tulsi, but then you know, then Guru Maharaj said, well, when the Guru chants on the bees, they become Tulsi, or has become as non-different from Tulsi. So even in that case, if you don't have Tulsi bees at the time, you have some other bees, 108, you can think in your mind, offer them to Gurudev, you know, please bless these, and then chanting, that'll be like that. But I saw in ISKCON they have the clicker, and it was very ingenious. This devotee super glued one Tulsi bead.
Oh,
So he's going like that.
good
He's actually chanting. You know,
oh my goodness. We learn something every day.
quite brilliant.
Does he pull it towards him as he clicks?
Yeah.
Now you have the application also on the phone.
How does
The
that
mala
work?
application.
Going to glue a Tulsi to the front of your phone.
How does that? I don't know. How does that work?
You just slide up, and when you want to go to the next beat, you just slide
Oh,
up.
really?
Hare Krishna, the next beat.
But you should slide down.
That had to come, you know. Yeah, that had to come.
There are different apps. I did a long time ago, a few years ago, like 4 years ago, something.
Yeah.
I tried because I was somewhere and without the beads, by you know. And then I was just thinking, and I looked and saw. But actually, you can count on your fingers 108
Yes.
as well. But you do spend a long time meditating on your fingers rather than
Yeah,
the
that's
Maha
of
mantra.
course. So one hand is like 10, right? Like we say Gayatri. So plus 1.
Well, I do
10 hands.
12 and 9.
Okay.
9 times 12 equals
Okay,
108.
different ways
Yeah.
you can do it. And also I saw there's one sort of story, and one lady in Vrindavan was like, I don't know, she had cancer or something, but she's literally going to be passing away, you know, so much so that even she couldn't really chant with the hand, you know, do anything. So she had this other person, other devotee, lady sitting in the chair in front of her, and she was chanting, she was watching, you know, going through and saying in her mind, you know, Maha mantra.
But if she was chanting all the time, she'd be doing way more than 16 rounds anyway, wouldn't she?
Who?
So if she was chanting all the day or the night, I mean, before she passed away.
In this, do you know the
She
story?
would, no, but she wouldn't
Oh.
have had to be worried about 16 rounds. She would
No,
be
that's
doing way
right,
more.
that's right, that's right.
But Haridas Thakur worried.
Yeah.
The Nama Acharya.
Yeah.
He was concerned, oh, I can't chant.
Yeah, he
my
was
Nama."
very worried, very depressed. He said he was lying in his bed depressed because he couldn't
He was chanting all day
Finishes.
and all night, practically.
finish his, what do you
He was
say?
doing
His-
way more than, well, he wasn't doing 16, he was doing like,
192.
yeah.
Only.
Yeah.
But it was his brat, his vow,
Yeah,
and you know he was
Times 64.
yeah.
upset that he couldn't fulfil that, and then Mahaprabhu
So you
assured
say
him, don't worry.
the fact of holding the mala is
Well,
or
that-
is it the count? Is it counting?
it's everything. That's the difference between this kind of meditation and other kinds of meditation, like silent meditation. Because all the senses, the touch is holding, the tulsi, the ear, the sound, the voice, you know, mind. So whereas in the other silent meditation, then you, as Guru Maharaj says, you know, then the things can come up from bubbling up from the unconscious and so many things to disturb, to distract. But if you read in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, there's a brilliant discussion between the 4 Kumaras and Gopa Kumar. In his travels, he goes to Mahalok, you know, which is like one of the higher planets. It's the one where, when there's a partial destruction of the universe, everything below that is destroyed. But from Mahalok and up, remains, they say. So in Mahalok, they're all like mainly Grihastha devotees, you know, big sort of Grihasthas and Pandits, and there's Vishnu Yagya going on there, so many fire sacrifices, and Lord Vishnu is personally appearing from the fire, accepting the offerings and so on. So Gopika Ma's there, and he's very much relishing the association and everything that's going on there. But then he, you know, again after some time, becomes a little bit stale, a little bit dry, and he says, no, I've had to find Kṛṣṇa, I've got to keep on my... And then he's chanting his mantra that he got from his guru, who we find out later was actually Kṛṣṇa, directly took the form of his guru, gave him that mantra. So then he's going up again, and next one he goes is to Tapalok. Right, Tapalok, I think Tapasya. And he's very surprised, there's nothing there. It's like a big empty space, and then all these clusters of sadhus sort of sitting in this deep meditation, you know. And so somebody sees him there, and he says, oh, who are you? You know, where have you come from? And he's telling them, oh, I'm searching for Kṛṣṇa, my friend. And so, okay, come and sit with us, sit with us. And then they teach him how to do this silent meditation, and so he joins with them in that. And then after that, they're very amazed. He goes to such a high stage very easily, even though he's never done it before and isn't experienced, because of his Sukriti and what he achieved through his chanting and his practice. So they're very amazed. But then there's a discussion in the commentary by Sanatana Goswami, which is, he's commenting on his own work, on his own writing, the relative value of Mahamantra, sound meditation, and the silent meditation. And it's very interesting. It's in there, the 3-volume.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And he says, he concludes, he kind of says, both are very good. In one sense, one could think that the silent meditation is superior in the sense that because you're not using any other things like beads, like your voice or any other thing, just in your own consciousness. So that way, but then he says, like that I said, because especially in Kali Yuga, that we're having the help, with the mala, the touching tulasi, holy tulasi, and then the mind, the voice, and the other one is very difficult generally to do, but not impossible. So that's of course the Yuga Dharma and so on. But again, Smaran is part of the devotional service, the 9 limbs of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. The Smaranam and remembrance will come from the hearing and the chanting, of course, naturally. So yeah, it's interesting points. And you know that verse, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Pada Sevanam. You know who said that verse, where it actually comes from?
Prahlad Maharaj
Yeah.
said it, but didn't he get it from a Purana? Was it from
Okay,
a
he's
Purana
quoting
also?
from the Purana, is he?
I
Okay.
have a feeling so, but it
Yeah.
was Prahlad Maharaj who
That's-
said it, yeah.
That's pretty brilliant to come up with that. If he, well, he's Prahlad, of course, but yeah, it could be quoting from somewhere.
He's teaching his school friends, isn't it?
Yes, yes. Yeah. Well, children, they'll naturally like to play and so on. So that's quite a hard lesson, saying, oh, forget all that games. Just remember Krishna from the very beginning. But then, even in the Gita, right, in the 6th chapter, there's one who's moderate or temperate in there, and he mentions 4 things: eating, sleeping, work, and recreation. So what does that mean? Recreate means to recreate yourself through something, doesn't say what, but I don't know, jogging, listening to music, going for a walk, so many things. This will be able to be integrated into the life, into spiritual life in a very natural and sort of healthy way, of course. Because it's just psychology. If one is pushed in a certain direction extremely, that will have some anti-reaction. As long as we have the conditioning, conditioning is like this anarthas, which is like you can imagine water or something that's got some things in it, bubbles or impurities. So if you try to push in a certain direction with that, those things, they're going to get caught on those things, and that's going to cause an anti-reaction. Just like, in archery, you can't keep the bow stretched all the time. You have to relax, then again, So this is a very normal thing to have be moderate in the life, the spiritual life. And then, then we have the opportunity for certain, like now, like more intensified thing. Like people go on retreats, don't they? 3 days, 6 days. More intensified spiritual practice.
Would kirtan be considered recreation because you're kind of playing with instruments and playing with melodies?
Yes, well, yes, again, but that would depend on the thing. Gaudiya Kirtan is quite specific, isn't it? In its things, we don't use harmonium, so that we're practicing that according to a particular, not formula, but particular way. It's like, so that again, that's another question, isn't it? People say, like Śrīla Prabhupada would say, just chant Hari-kīrtana anyway, it doesn't matter, any instrument anyway, as long as you're chanting Mahamantra, that's the thing, Okay, but then to what degree are you going to stretch that, Because then it becomes just enjoyment, so then the other way, they'll say, oh, but the Gaudiya thing is so restricted, it's so, we don't have to follow the form, that's all the form. You have to chant with these instruments, in this way, with this intonation, Like, for example, our beloved godbrother, Tridandi Prabhu, was sort of tried to do like that. Well, that's the way he's learned, right? From the tradition, that's fine. But you can't just say, oh, that's just a form, because within that particular form, if you like, a way of doing it, it's not just a form, it's very substantial. If you see a really full-on Gaudiya Kirtan, like 6 mridanga players, the way they do it, throwing it up and all like together, going backwards, going forwards, it's incredible, That's really got the spirit, of, you can imagine like Mahaprabhu's Kirtan in Rath Yatra, where it's described like that. So many mridanga players, so many dancers, everyone had their role, kind of way. And so it's in a way kind of quite watered down, just to chant in any way you like, with any instruments or something. Śrīla Bhakti Prabhu Maharaj, they said he only on 1 day a year, was it on Gaur Purnima, he allowed anyone to bring any instrument.
I've only heard that second hand.
Right.
Have you heard
it? Could be a legend, I don't know.
It could be, I don't know. If I haven't heard it from Gurudev or Guru Maharaj, I haven't heard it from them. So.
That's pretty strict in itself, isn't it?
Mm.
You have to wait all year just to do that.
And interestingly, this area is very suitable, very peaceful area before 6 a.m., before the flight, before these big metal birds wake up and start making all their noise. It's remarkably quiet. Very good. And you were saying at the beginning, you were saying, like, to give ourselves time to chant japa. And when you can be outside to chant japa. We try to be outside. It's a bit cold at the moment, but still, everyone's got warm weather. Because then you get the feeling of what is the Brahma Muhurta. Why is it also recommended to wake up early and to do things early in the morning? And at Gurudev, Guru Maharaj always up early in the morning.
Yeah.
Because it's a favourable time, and especially here you can notice how favourable it is, because before 6 it's remarkably quiet. Because everyone's sleeping. And it's a very conducive time to sit and chant japa, and chanting japa is that meditation. We were in a program, it's questions and answers things. Somebody asked, do you do meditation? And the devotee I was with said, no. And I said, what? You do meditation. And Gayatri is meditation. We should do meditation. And if we neglect that, then also things tend to go wrong. If we neglect spiritual practice, things tend to go wrong. And we get all sorts of dramas happening in the world. A lot of it is, well, if we actually do arati, do chant Hare-Krishna, do offer our food, do follow hot humility, honouring others and tolerance, then humility, giving honour to us. Humble as a blade of grass, tolerant as a tree. Give honour to others without wanting honour for oneself. If we practice all these things, then we might expect something good will happen, because that's the very advice we've been given. And also that point, what are we doing? We just need to do what we've been told is going to please the Lord. Krishna says, you offer me fruit, flower, incense, I'll accept it. Fruit, flower, water, etc. So we offer it. He's done his part. He said, just offer it to me with love. So we offer with love and he'll accept it. Then it's prasadam. It doesn't say that you have to be in the temple. Wherever you are. So all these basic things, what makes the Lord happy, we do that. So we're just trying to make him just do what we're meant to do. And we're not trying to make him happy for some deal. Oh, I'll do this and then give me a Ferrari. We went past the Ferrari shop today. A whole row of Ferraris outside.
What, around here, is it?
On the way to Virginia Waters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Rich area, yeah.
But we're not asking Krishna, I'm going to do all these things. Are you pleased with me now? Can I have a Ferrari? We won't go that route.
And also, just think about, the Maha Mantra. Okay, you have, Nama Parad, Nama Bhakti Nam. But aside from that, just anyone who's chanting and trying to chant, as Śrīla Prabhupada said, in his one sort of, explanation or interpretation, was saying, "Oh Radha, oh Krishna, please give me your service." So we're inviting them, so then, okay, we're inviting them, and then you would never do that to someone, right? You invite them to your house and then just walk off, do something else. Like,
good point.
You're inviting them, so that means if they're coming, you have to be aware that they're there, and like before I said, and that we're in him, in them, we live and move and have our being, so.
Won't you lose taste for chanting if you're not attentive to the chanting as well?
Yeah, that's one reason. There can be many reasons why you might lose the taste for it. Different things, aparad, lack of attention to the sadhana, and so that's in the book actually. In fact, that chapter, it ends quite abruptly, but I wanted to do that, because it really makes the point, where he's saying, talking about hankering and having hunger, just like to have hunger is healthy, sign of health, and to be not hungry, and for example, is a sign of not health, or not in good health. And then he says, but then the last question is what else? But then what happens if someone actually loses the desire, you know, for spiritual life? He says, oh, that is no, that's not good. And it just ends there, you know. Just thought it's good to kind of make the point more strongly. There's a quotation actually in the Bible, in the book of Revelations, just reminds me of this, where God, or the Lord, is saying to the devotee, in this case the disciple John, or whoever wrote the book of Revelations, they're not really sure. And the Lord says, everything you're doing is all very good, but one thing I have against you, that you've become lukewarm, not in the spirit in which you came with that fire, that enthusiasm. And so either someone is like out of it, they're doing something else, okay, that's one thing, you know, or they're doing it with the heart, full heart, but to be lukewarm, and he says, I spit you out of my mouth. That's in the quote, it says. So yeah, you know, of course, everyone gets maybe some down periods, you know, dark nights or whatever you call it, but it should be underneath that should always be this desire, hankering, or like separation, I guess you'd call it, you know, feeling of separation, for wanting to have, you know, the connection and that.
Maharaj, you know, you're saying about balance of like eating, sleeping, work and recreation. Yeah. So is it like a case of, I suppose, through attempting spiritual practice, those other things will become less and less other things, but your consciousness becomes more?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Like I was in Victoria Station the other day, and I might have said this thing before, but it sort of came home to me like that, what you're saying. And in the information desk, there was some Hindus, obviously, I could see. I was sort of chatting with them a bit, and they said, oh yes, we're going to the temple, and we go to the temple and we do seva, you know, and it was like, well, what do you do the rest of the time, you know? It's like, you come home and you do temple seva, and the rest of your life is something else, you know, just whatever we do, you know. It's not spiritual, some material thing. So it has to be that the normal everyday activities, normal life, so-called, and the spiritual coming together, and they just merge, become one continual thing. So there's no difference. Of course, there's a difference sitting here doing bhajans and going shopping or whatever, but that should be just the same, shopping. Going shopping for Kṛṣṇa or cooking for the pleasure of Kṛṣṇa. You know, like washing up. Because people think, oh, washing up is so boring, it's horrible. I don't want to do, always pushing it away in the mind and trying to go and do something else that I enjoy. But how beautiful is that? You're washing up Krishna's plates. You think this is Krishna's plates, Krishna's kitchen. I mean, what could be better than that, you know? So it's like in integration, in a more integrated way of spiritual life. And the sadhana, the practice we do, you know, that's like keeping that afloat, you know. As the example, you know, Śrīla Maharaj said, you know, like cranking a machine at first is very hard, you know, and then, but once it's going, then it's a question of maintaining more, so. And then that means you're just putting a little oil here, oh, that's a funny noise coming there, just tighten that screw a bit up there, and to keep it going, you know. And then externally, someone looking at that type of a life of a person, they're just normal, they're just a normal person doing normal things, not, you know, but that is much more than somebody showing all siddhis and doing feats or being very expert in yoga, raising the kundalini, all these things, you know, because it's to, you know, to serve Kṛṣṇa, to satisfy Kṛṣṇa. So tangent. Anyway.
So Maharaj,
Really?
why not stay here tonight? Then you'll be here for tomorrow's program.
Well,
And there's a room
I
for
can
you
come
right
back.
here. You can have the room they gave me. Fine, fine.
We have
Stay the night.
thank you very much for the offer.
Hmm?
Stay in the caravan.
We have another empty room. We have an empty room. What else do you
Have prasad with us now.
Mhm.
Some rest.
Why don't we show? Yep. Let's see.
We can sit outside tomorrow morning, 4:30 a.m. Chan Chapa. Yay!
Jai.
Jai Gauranga.
Jai.
And they'll all join us, Maharaj. If you and I go, they'll all join us. And look, Mahaprabhu thinks it's a good idea. It's a sign the curtain's open. Do you see that? Jai Shriman Gauranga Sundar ki jai, Giriraj Radha Giridhari Ju ki jai.
Jai.
All right, then I think it's time for Hari Harai Nama Krishna Yadavai Namaha. You like to sing?
Okay.
David and yeah, no, well, first to Mr. Patel, but for you,
No, I thought you meant you were talking to me.
we can talk to all of you. I was going to go around the room. David Andrew is a happy singer. Hari Harai Nama Krishna. Thank you.
Krishna Jai.
Page 60. Hari Harai Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya. Microphone's pointing towards you, please give the tries.
Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Gauranga Sundar Radha Giridhari Juki Jai Om Sripad Śrīla Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Om Sripad Pama Hangsa Parivartika Chartavarja Sutta Sutta Shri Śrīman Śrīla Bhakti Rakshira Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Panuga Guru Varga Ki Jai Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Jai Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai all the assembled devotees Ki Jai Jai Śrīla Bhakti Rañjan Madhusūdan Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Śrīla Sripad Bhakti Svarup Tridandi Maharaj Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanandi